Good afternoon, class. Today, I will discuss to you the multiple sentence, multiple complex sentence, and minor sentence form syntactic analysis. But before we start and dive into our lesson, let us first understand structural classification of English sentences, which are the simple sentence, complex sentence, compound sentence, compound complex sentence, multiple sentence, and multiple complex sentence. These six sentences are related to our lesson, and the two are part of my topic, so it is important for us to have a short recap for you to easily understand the topic from easy to hard level. Now, let's begin with the simple sentence. We all know that simple sentence has one main or what we call independent clause, which can stand on its own because it has a complete thought and comprises of the subject and predicate. For example, this is my food. Another example, he has gone home. Next is the complex sentence. Complex sentence has one main or what we call independent clause and one or more subordinate or dependent clause, wherein the dependent clause could be as many as possible, depending on what is grammatically acceptable. But one independent clause must be present to make the sentence qualify for a complex sentence. Also, the subordinate clause in a complex sentence is usually introduced by a subordinator or a subordinate conjunction. And we usually refer to these subordinators as binders because they bind the dependent clause and independent clause. For example, the boy failed the test because he did not work hard. Another example, he locked the gate before beating the stubborn goats. Third, we have is the compound sentence. Compound sentence has two main or what we call independent clauses with no dependent clause. That is, two independent clauses make up a compound sentence, and these sentences are linked together by the coordinating conjunction. For example, we have the boy won the game, but he has not given the prize. Another example, the food was badly cooked, yet the starving boys ate it with relish. Fourth is the compound complex sentence. It is a sentence that has two main or independent clauses and one or more dependent clauses. In this type of sentence, one would find both a coordinator or what we call the linker and a subordinator or what we call the binder, which is present. The linker joins the two independent clauses while the binder joins one of the independent clause with a dependent clause. For example, Jane gave the class a test and marked the test papers before writing the correction on the board. Another example, the tenants refused to pay the house rent and gave the landlord a beating before the police arrived. Now, let's proceed to our main topics. Let us start with multiple sentence. Multiple sentence is a sentence which has three or more main or what we call independent clauses with no dependent clause. Each of these clauses can stand on its own as a simple sentence. For example, he came, he saw, and he conquered. Try to look at this example number 1. There are 3 independent clauses, he came, he saw, he conquered, which are linked together by the coordinating conjunction and, which gives us a multiple sentence. Another example, John cleared the garage, washed the dirty cars, and later went to the gym to play football. In example number 2, it also has 3 independent clauses and linked together by the word and, which is our coordinator. Example number 3, she attended the interview, answered all the questions brilliantly, yet she did not get the job. Here in number 3, still has 3 independent clauses which are linked together by the word yet as the coordinator. 4. He also drove out the nations before them, allotted them an inheritance by survey, and made the tribes of Israel dwell in their tents. Here in number 4, the same with number 1 and 2, linked by coordinating conjunction and also has 3 independent clauses. 5. He arrived the country on Friday. He went to see his mother on Saturday and returned to Austria on Sunday. The last example number is just the same with number 1, 2, and 4. And that is the multiple sentence. I hope it is clear to all of you. Now, let's proceed to multiple complex sentence, which is the last type of sentence under structural classification of sentences. A multiple complex sentence has 3 main or independent clauses plus at least 1 subordinate or what we call dependent clause. For example, when he slew them, then they sought him and they returned and sought earnestly for God. In this example, the first sentence, when he slew them then, is the dependent clause. While they sought him, they returned, sought earnestly for God, are the independent clauses. And these sentences are linked together by the coordinating conjunction and. Example number 2. I came, I saw, and I conquered because I was determined since no assistance was forthcoming. In this example, the first 3 sentences, I came, I saw, I conquered, are the independent clauses, while the sentence I was determined since no assistance was forthcoming is our dependent, at the same time adverbial clause of reason because it explains the reason for the actions. Moreover, the word and is our coordinator and the word because is our subordinator. Example number 3. If the lawyers had not moved fast, the innocent man would have been ridiculed, made to refund the money he did not steal, and thrown into prison. In this example, the first sentence, if the lawyers had not moved fast, is the dependent clause. This is a conditional clause introducing hypothetical situation. It depends on the independent clause for its full meaning. Further, the sentences the innocent man would have been ridiculed, made to refund the money he did not steal, thrown into prison, are the independent clauses, while the word if is the subordinating conjunction and the word and is the coordinating conjunction. Never mind the example number 4 because it is not considered as multiple complex sentence. Look at the sentence. He wrote in the condolence register. This is the main or independent clause, stating the action. As a philosopher who likes simplicity, this is a participial phrase, acting as an adjective modifying he. While not a traditional clause with a subject and verb, it functions dependently to describe the subject. While the quoted phrase, life is simple and life is fragile, is not grammatically part of the sentence's structure, it's a direct quote. And that's all for the multiple complex sentence. Now let's move on to our last topic, which is the minor sentence form syntactic analysis. Minor sentence is grammatically incomplete structure that functions as a complete utterance in context. Unlike major sentences, which follow standard subject-verb-object rules, minor sentences lack traditional syntax but convey full meaning through tone, context, or cultural understanding. It is often used in spoken language and informal writing to create a conversational effect, emphasize a point, or express emotion. There are key features of minor sentences. First, it has no subject-verb structure, meaning it is often missing grammatical components. Second, it is context-dependent, which relies on situation, tone, or shared knowledge. Number 3, it is expressive function, used for emphasis, emotion, or brevity. Later on, it would be easy for you to understand these key features. Minor sentences fall into 3 structural categories. First, we have category is fragments. Fragments in minor sentences are incomplete grammatical structures that function as complete utterances in a specific context. They omit elements like subjects or verbs but convey meaning through tone, situation, or shared understanding. For example, fire. When it comes to its syntactic breakdown, it is noun fragment, no verb but context implies urgency. For example, there is a fire. Number 2, elliptical sentences. Structures omits words implied by context. For example, the word coffee, shortened form of do you want coffee or would you like coffee? And then next word black. Instead of saying I want it black, you can just say black with omitted subject and verb. Number 3, fixed expressions. Structure, it is culturally established phrases with rigid form. For example, happy birthday. When it comes to its syntactic breakdown, it has no subject and verb, but it is universally understood as a celebratory greeting. Another example, no way. Context, reaction to pricing news. When it comes to its form, fragment, it is an interjection. Implied meaning, there's no way that's true. It expresses disbelief or refusal. Number 2, another example, on your left. It is a warning during a race or crowded space. It is a prepositional phrase fragment. This meaning is someone is passing you on your left side. It conveys urgency without full syntax. For you to easy understand again, let's proceed to the comparison summary. So, we have here is the multiple sentence. Again, it has 3 or more independent clauses with coordinating conjunction. and no dependent clause link related ideas. Then multiple complex sentence has three independent clauses plus at least one dependent clause with subordinate and coordinating conjunctions. It shows cause and effect or contrast. Lastly is the minor sentence, which is fragments or incomplete grammar which convey emotion or urgency. That's all for today. I hope you learned something from watching. Thank you.